All right, guys, before I get into anything, I got super excited when this got brought down to me, and I want to really, really dig into it with everybody. So, Incarcerated Ink-Slingers, 5 authors that did serious time. So, I got William S. Burroughs, born 1914. He wrote Naked Lunch, Queer Junkie, Confessions of an Unreamed Drug Addict, and The Soft Machine. So, 2 books. He was addicted to drugs and ended up dealing heroin to support his habits. He was charged and then ran to Mexico with his wife and children to wait for the statute of limitations to run out. So he ran off to Mexico to wait out his term, because after a certain amount of time, they say that warrants drop off. Excuse me. Warrants will drop off and they'll disappear and dissipate within the system. So it seems like that's what he was doing in Mexico. Sources say he shot and killed his wife when he was drunk. Supposedly, he was trying to shoot a glass off her head. That's what he told originally. So, that's terrible. Later, he claimed it was an accident. He said he was showing his pistol to his friends, and it dropped on the table. Firing from the impact and killing his wife, he spent 13 days in prison, and then his brother bribed them to let him out on bail. Wow. While he was waiting his trial, he wrote Queer. He ended up running back to the States. He was convicted of manslaughter and received 2 years suspended sentence. That's it for manslaughter. He died at home in Lawrence, Kansas in 1997 after having a heart attack. J.G. Ballard called Burroughs the most important writer to emerge since the Second World War. Wow. That's a good reference. That's crazy. Only got a 2-year 2-year sentence and suspended. Damn. Okay, so number 2, John L. Orr, born in 1949. He wrote Points of Origin, which I actually know that one. It's a good book. John L. Orr was once a fire captain and arson investigator before he became an author. It turned out that during the 80s and 90s, he was a serial arsonist. Well, the arsonist was called the Pillow Pyro. The Pillow Pyro, that's what the news called him. The fire caused serious damage to the city of Los Angeles. The damage cost the city millions of dollars and killed 4 people. It's been reported that he may have set more than 2,000 fires over a 7-year spree. 7 years. 2,000 fires. That's a pyro. The investigation pointed to someone with his expertise, and they had an unmatched fingerprint from one of the crime scenes, which was eventually matched to Orr. Okay? He was sentenced to life in prison. Orr's arson spree has been featured on multiple crime TV shows, and Point of Origin was released by HBO in 2002, with Ray Liotta playing the part of John Orr. Excuse me. He still claims that Point of Origin is a fiction, but many believe it's more of a confession. He maintains his innocence, stating the character of Aaron Stiles was a composite of arsonists I have arrested. Incidentally, Aaron Stiles is an anagram for I Set L.A. Arson, who's currently serving life at the California State Prison. Wow. So while he's doing all this stuff, he was investigating fires, writing about fires, and apparently setting 2,000 of them. Good for you. That's terrible. Don't do arson. Arson seems like a terrible crime. That and I'm too fat to be hot, so I'll never have to worry about doing arson. I can barely keep my cigarettes lit when I'm doing my show, so. Anne Perry. Victorian crime starring Thomas Pitt. Oh, Victorian crime. Anne was arrested when she was 15 for helping her best friend Pauline Parker kill Pauline's mom. What the fuck? Right out the gate. Right out the gate with it. Pauline was supposed. I don't know why I say that. Pauline was supposed to go live with a family member in South Africa when her parents separated. She didn't want to go, so they decided to kill her mother. They took the woman for a walk and intended to hit her over the head with a rock. It took 45 hits with the rock to accomplish their goal. Apparently, when you bludgeon somebody with a blunt object, such as rocks, don't be weak when you do it. Go all in. It's all on the wrist, man. Again, listen, if you're gonna be a killer, you gotta work out and be in good shape. If anyone's seen Dexter, they know what I'm talking about. Be in shape, dude. Be in shape. Don't hit somebody with the head 45 times. All right, that's bad juju for everybody. All right, they were convicted and sentenced, but due to their young age, only served 5 years. They were ordered to never communicate or see each other again. The murder was later put in film, Heavenly Creatures, in 1994. She changed her name and wrote her first book years later. By 2003, she had published 47 novels, many of them bestsellers. In 2001, she won the Edgar Award for Best Short Story. She is alive and well and still writing. Triple Jeopardy was just published. Wow. That's insane. It's insane. I thought I knew the name. I know Triple Jeopardy. It's actually a good book. That's a really good one. I like that one. Let's see. Johann Jack Unterweger. Unterweger? All right. 1950s. All right, that's when she was born. Austrian writer and serial killer. Wow, these openings are killing me. In Europe, in Los Angeles, he is responsible for the killing of 12 prostitutes. Holy shit. He killed his first victim at the age of 18. Once he was caught, he was sentenced to life in prison. He began writing short stories, poems in his autobiography, Purgatory or The Trip to Prison. It was later turned into film. He was released in 1990 after serving 15 years. The next year, he killed 6 more prostitutes. In 1992, he was arrested in Miami, Florida, for three of those killings, and taken back to Austria. He was sentenced to life with no chance of parole for 11 murders. That night, he hung himself in his cell. Sometimes prison should be a good reason to give it up. Oh, God. All right. Let's see who took the cake. I didn't read this one. I wanted to leave this one for all of us to experience together, a little group collective. Pretty excited about it. Oh, God, of course it's going to be a name. I can't. Issei Sagawa, 1949. Japanese writer accused of murder and cannibalism. Fuck out of here with this shit. This is crazy. He wrote Shonen A story about a 14-year-old murderer. Later, he wrote a book about the murder he committed himself. Yeah, so on June 11, 1981, he was studying literature at Sorbonne Academy in Paris, in Paris. Ooh, Paris. Very, very exotic. Look at this guy. Kill it. Oh, I guess he fucking already did. He invited a Dutch student named René Hartevelt over to his house for dinner and to talk about poetry. It's gotta be a good pickup line. We're gonna speak about poetry. That's what we're gonna do. Just talk. It's poetry. It's a little bit of poetry. By the way, I'm also a murderer and a cannibalist. Don't worry about that shit. While she was reading to him, he shot her in the back of the neck with a rifle. He then spent the next 2 days entertaining himself with her corpse and consuming parts of the body. Either way I want to say that sounds fucked up. He put her body into a bag and threw it into the lake. He calmly confessed when he was interrogated by the police. Oh, so he's just like, no, yeah, that's me. No big deal. What if they wrote him a littering ticket? Jeez. Pollution. Not good. We only have one Earth, man. One Earth. Eco-Broad. He's got Eco-Broad. He was declared insane. No shit. He was mistakenly diagnosed with advanced encephalitis. That's fatal. Advanced encephalitis. They thought he would only live for a few more weeks, so France removed the charge against him and let him go. What? He was extradited to Japan, where he was admitted to a maximum security psychiatric facility. In 1986, he checked himself out and is still free to this day. Currently, he is somewhat of a local celebrity and appears often on local shows. Man, That is nuts. So that's the number one guy. So his first book he wrote was about a 14-year-old murderer, and then he ended up shooting Miss Renee Hartevelt in the back of the neck with a rifle, consumed parts of her bodies. Not the whole thing. Don't be gluttonous. Just parts. That's fucking crazy. Dear God, man. All right. Wow. If that's not enough to make you not want to, if that's just not enough to make you feel like you're doing something wrong, then that's pretty much on you at this point. All right, so just keep you guys more informed as to what's going on with the show. As you can see, we're doubling up lots of content this week because we are killing it with numbers. Our numbers are doing very well, but we want to do better. So this week we have multiple interviews coming out with Mr. Almighty Baldy. He is another podcast host. We have more of our last guest. He will be working with us a lot more, Mr. Joey G's. We have Stacey McGregor. She's the host of Hook Up or Hang Up. And we have Tanya Marie. We have all these big names coming out. We are booking even more. Come to find out, I've even double booked myself. So we're just going to group them all together. It's going to be fun. But we are releasing the new shop, new store. We have all these new episodes coming out. And this podcast, once again, is always brought to you in part by Hook Up or Hang Up. Just do it. That releases this Friday, guys. This Friday, keep up with it. So, like, share, subscribe, favorite. Put this all over your social media. Check out more of our stuff. We have a lot more things at writeitoutradio.com. Check us out on Facebook at write.it.out.radio. And our Twitter, AR_Kaufman. That's me. Talk to me. Speak to me. If you guys have any questions or anything, just hit us up at writeitoutradio@gmail. And of course, it's a .com at the end of that. Hopefully, I don't have to tell nobody that, but apparently, dudes are eating people's assholes in France. That means shit happens. So, who wants to talk about poetry?